Hey everybody, my name's Tara Coyote, and I was asked to make a video about the supplements I take while undergoing chemotherapy treatment. Just a little bit of my history. September 2016, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. I had the history of my best friend going through acute myeloid leukemia. I was one of her main caretakers for 22 months from her diagnosis to her death. I was with her for many months in the hospital on and off, and she chose a standard route of treatment. The acute myeloid leukemia is the most aggressive form of blood cancer. So she went full on standard, didn't do any natural supplements or anything. And it was very traumatic to lose my best friend, broke my heart, still miss her to this day. It'll be 5 years this August after her death. I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer almost exactly 1 year to the day after she died. And I had so much trauma surrounding her death that when I was given the Western route of treatment, which was chemotherapy and a mastectomy, I was very stubborn and I said, no, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it naturally, which I did. And I was doing quite well for 2 years or so until a very stressful incident happened in my life where I had to sell my ranch and my retreat center that I ran in Northern California and just basically consolidate a huge retreat center that I was running for 5 years or so and let go of some of my horses. And it was heartbreaking and very hard because I loved that place. So it's my belief that due to that incredible amount of stress for many, many, many months that the cancer spread. So I ended up moving back home to Kaua'i, Hawaii, which is where my dad's from and ancestors going back to the 1870s, Portuguese side. And it ended up being one of the best decisions I could do because it's very healing here in Kauai and I'm surrounded by family and friends and I love it here. So I'm doing really well right now. But when I moved back to Kauai about a year ago in January 2019, I was not doing well. The cancer had spread. It had spread to my lungs, my liver, my spine, to my adrenal glands. I had gone to Mexico for treatment. I basically did everything I could for 2.5 years naturally, spent way too much money, did endless fundraisers just to support my natural healing protocol. And I was at the point where I was dying. In spring of 2019, I was recommended to go into hospice. I could not have a conversation because I had so much cancer in my lungs. I couldn't sleep at night. I had to sleep sitting up for 2 months because there was so much cancer in my lungs. I was coughing so much. My bones were starting to break down. I had to start using cane because there was metastasis in my left hip and I was in bad shape. So the doctors pretty much said, I have some very kind doctors here I highly respect, natural and allopathic. They basically said to me, Tara, if you want to live, we really recommend you try chemotherapy. We know you don't want to, but it could save your life at this point. And I had to really look hard at my belief system about chemotherapy and my fear about it, which basically when I dove into it, it was all around my dear friend Deb and her death, basically. I was so highly traumatized by her death that I projected the idea of chemotherapy equals death equals the loss of Deb. So I had to really look at that and tear apart my story from her story and realize that maybe chemotherapy could help me. Maybe it could be healing nectar. So I had to really work hard with my mind, and I recommend the work of Byron Katie for that work. And there's a practitioner, Bethany Webb, I really recommend y'all work with for that because she's gone through breast cancer. She went through the same struggle too. Not as intense as mine, but she's a highly skilled facilitator. And I'll put all these links from what I'm talking about in this video somewhere where you can see it. Anyway, so I started doing chemotherapy and it was terrifying. I did 2.5 months of the AC. It was very hard. I lost 25 pounds. I ended up in the hospital once for 5 nights because I had sores in my throat and my mouth and I couldn't eat. So they admitted me to the hospital because if you can't eat, you just don't get any nutrition. It was very difficult. It was pretty scary. One of the hardest things that I've ever done. And during this whole process, I reached out to a lot of professionals about what to do as far as supplements to support my healing routine and my protocol. And I compiled a list of supplements that I started to take because I was such a natural medicine girl, right? To combine the natural supplements with the chemotherapy to help support my immune system. I felt like that was really important. But given I was doing the hard guns of chemotherapy, AC, I had to simplify what I was taking because I was nauseous a lot and I couldn't handle much. So I bared it down to what worked for me with the chemotherapy, and I talked with some people and they gave me some great ideas. So I'm going to share this with you. So before I go into it, I just want to say, disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. This is advice for what worked for me, and just to share a little bit of where I came from. My grandmother was a Christian Scientist, and I loved her dearly. She died when I was about 20, and Christian Scientists believe not to even take aspirin. So I grew up, and my parents were very natural also. So I grew up not really having much medicine at all. My mom made granola. She made whole wheat bread. Like, I came from a very natural background. So for me to think of even doing chemotherapy was horrifying to me. And also, I've been in the public eye for 3.5 years. If you go to my site, I have a Cancer Warriors YouTube page. You can see all my videos of all these past years. I have a Cancer Warriors blog page and Facebook page. You can see all my whole history and watch some of these videos. But I blogged and I did interviews and I talked about how chemotherapy kills. So you can see when I was at these crossroads of having to decide, do I really want to live? Can I face this fear of doing chemo? I had to really examine my fears and such, and came to the point of like, yes, I really want to live. My son was 26 at the time, and I want to be here for him. I love him dearly, and I want to give it a try. I love this life. So that's another topic in itself, the choice to live or die. But I really dug into my strength and realized that I wanted to live. And so how was I going to go about doing it? And I just want to say a little bit more before I share these. I mentioned that I talked about how chemotherapy kills, and I just want to apologize because I can be very brazen at times, and I was very stubborn in my belief system. So I'm sorry if I put out any statement of like, those of you doing chemotherapy are wrong. I tried to be very clear about it, but I know some people were a little upset about how strong my viewpoints were. And now I'm at this point where I really see the value of complementary medicine. I really believe that the natural medicine combined with allopathic medicine can work wonders. And in saying all this, I have seen friends heal with natural medicine, and I think that's wonderful. And I gave it my biggest try. I tried everything I could. I went to Mexico twice. You know, like I said, spent so much money, but in my case, I needed more. The cancer had spread so extensively. I needed to meet fire with fire. And that's where the allopathic medicine came in to basically save my life. So the whole natural medicine versus allopathic medicine is very polarized. It's very black and white. It's very much like the political situation. Those people are wrong. These people are right. Black and white. And I'm here to say, I think a combination of the two is a good idea. I consulted with many doctors before I did chemo, ones that are natural doctors, ones that were mainstream doctors, and you know, a lot of them said, yes, it's a great idea to combine the two. So the reason why I'm speaking up now is because it saved my life. I am very grateful. I could have died 3 times this year now. I had a hip replacement because my hip broke 3.5, 4 months ago due to a bone metastasis. So I'm incredibly grateful to modern medicine, and I wouldn't have said this even a year ago, but I am now in retrospect. And I do want to say too, there's this man named Gene Way. He has a program called Anti-Cancer 360, and he advocates the combination of both medicine, allopathic and natural. So complementary medicine, what I'm talking about. And he's got a great program. I just recently met him in the last couple months, and he's got a wonderful program. So I'll put his link there too, but I advocate you check out what he's doing as well. And I also want to say that There's so much fear in our culture about cancer, of course, because we live in a death-phobic society. So of course you talk about cancer and it immediately evokes fear. Like, oh, you have cancer. And then the people who can really show up. The people who are scared of mortality back away. So one of the reasons why I'm speaking out as I am through my various videos and Instagram page and all that is to try to take the stigma out of cancer, because I believe it actually can be a growth path to true self-realization and transformation, and it doesn't have to be so feared. In fact, many people I know, it's been an amazing path of just awakening. So these are all the things I wanted to say before, because it's hard, no doubt. Cancer is very difficult. You have to face your fear of mortality, all of it. But it can be a way to really awaken to life and joy. Now I'm very intentional with how I live. I try to be very mindful each moment. Do I want to be with this person? Do I want to do this activity? Does it bring me joy? So I encourage you to tune into that for yourself too. It can really help you get through the hard moments. Let's see. So just to give you a little bit more information before I go into supplements, because I want this to be thorough. I did 3 months of AC. It knocked my hair out. Obviously, this is not my hair. These braids make me happy, so I wear them. And then I started doing Taxol in July and August of 2019, and that was much easier. So when I started doing Taxol, I added more into my healing routine because I could handle more. My body wasn't so sensitive. I started putting back my weight again. I became very skinny doing the AC. It was a little scary. I went from like 130 to 110, the slimmest I've ever been in my whole life, which is part of the side effects of chemo, right? So when I started doing Taxol, I could add more supplements to my routine, which was nice because I wasn't so sensitive. All right, so I'm gonna go into the supplements here, and I will put all the links to these companies, well, most of them, in this listing for this film here. So if you have questions, feel free to ask, but I'll try to keep this as thorough as possible so it covers all the bases. So the first thing I want to talk about is this company called LifePlus. When I started doing chemo, I was pretty freaked out, and I reached out to a bunch of people because I know a lot of people on the cancer path, people who've done natural, people who've done the conventional. And I said, what do? I need advice here. I am scared. How do I handle this medicine? I was petrified. I was completely, utterly petrified, which is why it's a big deal for me to come out the other end and say, I'm doing really well. And also I want to say in retrospect, I just got my latest CAT scan results, and my blood test, the CA 26.27, shows I am cancer-free. I have normal blood markers. So I'm super excited. I just found out a week ago. I still have cancer in my body, but it's retreated. And so I'm been working really hard with my mind the whole time. I love the work of Joe Dispenza. You can check him out. And just really focusing on myself being cancer-free. I'm also, besides all these supplements, I'm doing major healing work. I split up with my partner. I was with him for 4 years. I realized, even though I have a lot of respect for him because he showed up for me during a difficult time, but I realized that there was some deficiencies in the relationship that wasn't meeting me where I need to be at. And since the chemo was so intense, I realized I think it's better for me to be without you, even though it's hard to go through a breakup, than be with you. And that was a very wise choice for me. And again, I have utmost respect for him, and I don't want to speak badly of him, but I feel more alive than ever. And I'm just so grateful to be present on this earth at this time and to be here in Kaua'i. And there's just so much to be grateful for. So, okay, I think that's enough info. So LifePlus, I want to start with this. So I reached out to some people, and this lovely friend got me in touch with this man whose wife had gone through cancer. Thank you, Todd. You've been such a great help. And he talked to me. It was very helpful, and he advocated I use these 4 products. I already had a healthy diet. I came, like a lot of my friends were saying, Tara, you're one of the healthiest people I know. How could you get this disease, right? And I attribute the fact that I did get cancer due to the grief of my dear friend dying, and pushing myself quite a bit, trying to run a horse retreat center by myself for many years, and just pushing myself and lack of self-care and a lot of trauma. Anyways, you can read my story and go through all my blogs and videos and Instagram posts to see more about my story. Hey there, it's me again. So, yes, I changed my clothes, different outfit. This is my teal look. This is an edited bit here. I forgot to add that during chemotherapy, there's 2 things I took to avoid neuropathy. Neuropathy is when your hands and your feet they fall asleep and you can have pain in them. It also happens in your throat and your mouth. I had that really badly for 5 nights in the hospital. So when I found out about these 2 supplements, I never got neuropathy in my fingers, my feet, my throat, no canker sores or anything after I started taking these supplements. So I highly recommend them. I wanted to make sure I put this in. So Lipoic Acid, good stuff. You can get it from other brands too. This is Life Extension, but make sure it has the R, not just lipoic acid. You want the R. I'm not sure why, because I'm not a doctor, but Lipoic Acid, they're pills. I took when I was doing chemo, I think for the week I did chemo, I would do it once, 3 times a day. That's what I took. And then also, this is very important, L-Glutamine. It's a powder. So I would take 1/4 of a teaspoon 4 times a day, 2 days before chemo, and then a week after chemo. Good stuff. And the days or the weeks I forgot to take these, I definitely felt a difference. So this works. I really want to make sure I shared about glutamine and Lipoic Acid. Good stuff. Your doctors may tell you not to take supplements. A lot of doctors say that. I decided to take my healing path into my own hands and create a supplement routine that worked for me. I support you to do whatever is good for you, but this is what I chose that worked well for me. So make your own choice. I think a lot of times the standard route of treatment says don't take any supplements because they want to avoid being sued. So sometimes you have to be a little discreet. I was very lucky. I've had practitioners that were fairly open-minded, but they do have to be careful too because of the whole AMA and all that. So that's a whole nother story, but just want to add that in there. So anyway, I want to talk about the LifePlus products. I'm just going to read this because this will represent it better than me trying to talk about it. LifePlus is lab-tested ingredients free from impurities, cold pressed, synthesized with the right nutrients to work best in the body. No chemical preservatives or fillers. Formulas designed by Dr. Dwight McKee, who is a top integrative oncologist and holistic medicine doctor. So you can check more about him online. So first of all, I do, and I have been doing this since I started chemo, I'm still doing it now, daily BioBasics. It's a powder, and it includes fruit and vegetable supplements, vitamins and mineral supplements, fiber, probiotic, antioxidants, and special greens all in one. There's a scoopful in here. I take a scoop of this in a shaker bottle I use kefir because I like that, but you could use whatever you want, in a shaker bottle twice a day, just a little bit. So this is my vitamin supplement, one of the many that I take. DNA Immune, take this. This is a powerhouse immune formula that protects at the DNA level and charges up the immune system. So I'm starting out with these products because I really believe that these products actually did the most for me out of everything. I think everything helped, but I think this was particularly good, these products here. OmeGold, purified omega-3s, essential plant oils, and vitamin D. Oh, this is very good. Vitamin D is especially important with cancer because vitamin D levels tend to be pretty low. And then ProAnthenols 100. This is super antioxidant, 20 times the potency of vitamin C and 50 times potency of vitamin E. Good stuff. And again, I'll put the link for these products down below. I also wanted to add that I have been doing a weekly vitamin infusion of not just vitamin C. I was doing vitamin C infusions for many years, but I found with the chemo, it was too much for me to handle. I tend to be very sensitive, and the vitamin C would just knock me out for days. So I started doing like more of a general vitamin and mineral infusion. And what that was, even though I have a port, she would put the needle in my arm and it would last like an hour or so. And yeah, so that's just a basic vitamin and mineral infusion that I know has really helped keep me strong. All right, so I'm gonna just share more. And again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm just sharing from my own knowledge. You can look up information if you want more information. This is just to provide help, and I'm just doing this not for profit. I'm doing this to help other people because I know cancer is very scary. So with breast cancer, particularly breast cancer, it's very important to have iodine. There is a misnomer about iodine. A lot of people think it's toxic, especially if you have thyroid issues, which I have thyroid issues. There's a lot of information about this. There's a book called The Iodine Conspiracy that talks about how at some point in history, 60s, I can't remember exactly, iodine was taken out of the American diet and we are now deficient in iodine. So if you have thyroid problems, be careful about not having too much iodine. But if you have breast cancer, it's important to have some iodine. In fact, if you have too little iodine, you're more prone to breast cancer. In Japan, the native diet of the Japanese people are miso soup, lots of seaweed, and the breast cancer cases are much lower there. So take that into account. So I take 1,000 mcg of iodine once a day. And that's a good thing to get tested too. That's a whole nother subject, but I'm just keeping it simple here. All right, so digestive enzymes. I was told by a natural doctor that these are very important to take, and these are the brands I take. You can take whatever brand you want. Obviously, this is what I found that works for me. Digestive enzymes help to break down your food. A lot of times if the food's not digested, it will help breed illnesses and such. So I take like 4 or 5 of these with every meal. It helps break down the food. Digestive enzymes are good. Also, probiotics are really good. I don't have those here, but there are probiotics, as you caught, in the daily BioBasics. So, all right, multivitamin. I take Vitamin Code, Garden Life. These are all big bottles because I live in Hawaii and things are very expensive here. So I order these more in bulk because it's cheaper, because shipping to Hawaii is very expensive. So Vitamin Code for women, multivitamins important. And some of the times too, when I was doing chemotherapy and I wasn't feeling well, I would not take supplements. I would just take a break. And I was also told by Todd to not take supplements the day you're getting chemotherapy and the day afterwards, because the chemotherapy will just render it useless. So there's a bit of information, take it or leave it. I'm also taking CBD, THC. I consulted with a woman in Northern California who took my situation into account, and she developed a protocol for me. I'm not going to put the links for this down because everyone's in different states, and the whole CBD cannabis thing, it's a bit of a can of worms. In California, it's very easy to get things, but I don't know what state you're listening from, so you'll have to check it out on your own. So I take CBG. I'm not going to go into details because, again, it's different for everybody. I do like a 1-to-1 formula. Papa and Barkley, this is a great brand. Miriam's Hope is a great brand. And 30-to-1, Papa and Barkley. And again, it's very particular with what's going on with you. I also do a CB, you know what, I'm not even going to say. I can't even remember. I didn't bring all of them. So CBD is great. CBD is very healing. Wonderful in so many ways. So I'm just going to keep it at that. You can do research about that. All right. Another thing, I worked with Dr. V for a while. She's the amazing woman who wrote Heal Breast Cancer Naturally. So I take some of her supplements as well. So she has an immune complex. I take this. I take magnesium at night to help me sleep. Sometimes with the chemotherapy, if you're on chemotherapy, you know, some nights you can't sleep and sometimes you're knocked out. So the magnesium would help calm my body down so I could sleep. I'm just stopping taking this now because I stopped chemotherapy about a month ago, but I was taking metal detox because chemotherapy has a lot of toxins in it. So metal detox is good. Optimal Curcumin, turmeric, good stuff. I take this, which there's a little bit of overlap because it's in the other supplements as well, but you know, I was dying, so I was like, I'm gonna throw everything I can within reason of what I can afford and what works for me. So I'm not saying you have to take all this, I'm just saying this is what worked for me, pick and choose what works for you. And the last one from Dr. V is Brocco Power. It's basically broccoli. You can load yourself up with tons of broccoli, but I've been taking this too. All right, and a couple other things. So this, what I just showed you is what I was taking during chemotherapy, during the AC. When I started doing Taxol, I added more because I could handle more, like I said. So I started taking this thing called Blue Majik. It's by E3 Live. Again, I'll post the link. This is it's a special sort of spirulina from a lake in Oregon. It's great stuff. It's blue and it turns my hands blue. You can see some of my shirt here. But luckily blue is my favorite color. As you can see, I'm surrounded by it. So you can see I have some juice here with the blue liquid. Blue Majik, I have a lot of body pains and I also take a lot of supplements for my bones because I broke my hip. So I'm not including those because I don't want to get too excessive. That's more for bone care. But Blue Majik is good for pain and inflammation. It's also amazing for healing. And you can look it up. Again, I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just showing what I take. Another product and company I tuned into a couple months ago, dear friend in Australia turned me on to, Cymbiotika. I hope I'm saying it right. And I'm just gonna read a little bit about that and just share a little bit. And again, you can look up online. They've got a great website and I'll post the link. Cymbiotika DHA is derived from Canadian indoor grown non-GMO wild strain algae. It's similar to this, but this is from a lake in Oregon. During the extraction process, our algae's precious cell wall is gently cracked using clean, filtered, warm water. This method of extraction is critical to keeping the integrity of the DHA intact. So again, go to their website, but just to show what I'm taking, this is an activated CBD and curcumin blend. It's called Nexus. And again, there's some overlap, but I figure, hey, I really want to live. And you know, some of the stuff is pricey too. So pick and choose what works for you. I'm just making it work. All right. And then Omega, DHA, and I don't have my glasses, so it's the Omega. You can look it up. And Golden Mind Advanced Brain Nutrients. And I started taking these supplements 2.5 months ago, and I've definitely noticed a difference, more energy. I feel more balanced, which is really great because my body's been very depleted due to the chemotherapy. And I'm recovering pretty fast, and everybody's like, wow, Tara, you look so healthy for all you're going through. So I really believe it's these products and the power of my mind that's making a difference. The last one I'm taking of Cymbiotika is B12. And they've got other products too. And the man who produces it is very integral and I love his message. He's got a great Instagram page. You can follow him there and check out the website. So thank you for tuning in. If you have questions, feel free to ask. I'll ask to the best or answer to the best of my ability, and wishing you all so much health and life and healing. And the last thing I wanted to say is that the power of the mind is so important. Just really seeing yourself whole and healed. I'm in the process of working on a documentary showing people with late stage cancer who are thriving and defying the odds, and the message all the way across. By the way, the book Radical Remission is a good one to read. To addresses all this is the state of mind. What is your state of mind? How do you think of the cancer in your body? And it's terrifying. It's very hard to be in society that fears cancer and mortality, but it's a great opportunity to step up and face your demons and do some amazing inner work. So wishing you all so much healing. Thanks for tuning in, and you can check out what I'm doing. I'm mainly active on Instagram, my Tara Coyote page. I have a Facebook page too, but Facebook is a little overwhelming to me right now, so I just focus on Instagram. I do stories there, and I have a lot of fun there. So you can check out everything there I share pretty vulnerably. All right, wishing you healing, lots of love and aloha. Bye.